going to be playing with some Deco Foils Transfer Gel Duo. So this is their newest version. They have two versions. This one is actually fantastic because it's a two-way use, just like it says here. It says heat or no heat, which is awesome when you're talking foil, especially if you don't have a hot foil machine, which I do not. This stuff will work in your big shot type setting and also in a laminator. So you can have either or of those, which is great. Just depends on how you want to do your setup. So we're going to be using that today, along with corresponding Deco foil. This happens to be opal. This is really pretty. So in the tube you get a variety of sheets of this, and this is not going to show up on camera how beautiful this is, but it's kind of almost, it's not really a wood green, but it's really shiny and iridescent, and this one is actually quite translucent, so there's not a lot of color, so it's very subtle when you apply it to your project. Okay, like I said, this is not going to show up on camera. It's just, it's too shiny. But it does have a little bit of opalescence built into the pattern. I'm not sure if it shows up better on the card or not. A little bit. But it is kind of translucent, but it does have an iridescent quality. And it does have a pattern to it when you get nice and close and look at it. So that's what we're going to do today. Sound good? All right. So we are going to go ahead and start, and this is the card that we're making today, and this card features obviously our transfer dual gel. We're going to use a paper rose stencil called Coffee Beans, and we're going to be using a stamp set from Colorado Crafts, and this one is called, hang on one second, Coffee House. Yeah, Coffee House. All right, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to work with is our paper rose stencil here. Let me put everything off to the side here that we don't need. I'm going to bring in a scrap of paper because we're going to be working on it. And I'm just using a piece of craft cardstock that I found in my stash. So, yeah. So I'm just going to apply some adhesive to that because we're just going to stick it down so it stays on my sheet of paper. Awesome. And this is a really cool stencil. Paper Rose has some of the most beautiful stencils. And there's lots of them in the store, so don't forget to check them out. And today, if you stick around till the end, I'm going to give away a $10 gift certificate to the store. So stay tuned on how you can win that $10 gift certificate. And it's awesome because right now there is a sale going on in the store. So hooray! Okay, so I've just used some low-tack tape to tack down my stencil. And this stuff is really easy to use. My favorite tools to use with this product is the Nuvo spatulas. I've had plastic spatulas in the past, and I find that after a couple of years, they become brittle, and I've actually snapped them off. And in this case, the Nuvo ones are very flexible. I'm sure it's probably made out of like some kind of silicone, so it's like a non-stick flexible material. And I'd have to say, if you're going to invest in a tool for doing this, definitely put that on your wish list. I have never found a better product. Like I said, I've tried the plastic ones that are hard and a little bit stiffer in nature, but I've actually broken the tips off of them. So I love this particular tool, and I use it for all kinds of different things too. So yeah, it actually comes as a set of two. Let's see if I can find my other one here. I have both of them, and this one just has a different tip, and it's a little bit narrower as well. So they both work really great. I just happened to grab this one. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your spatula and basically pull it across your stencil, just making sure that there's an even amount that goes down into those voids and into our cute little coffee beans today. I'm really surprised at the quality of the stencils by Paper Rose, because I only have a few, but every time I use them, I'm like, why don't I get more of these? Yeah. And I know there's a fair amount in the store. Now, this one just happens to have sold out. I was trying to find products for you guys today that I was going to use that were still in the store, and sadly, I think this one sold out. But everything else today that I'm using is in the store and available for purchase. So, I'm just trying to get an even coat here. And then, of course, because I'm only using this single product, I can just scrape it into my bottle, and I'm just going to take a finger and take it off the top and close it up. All right. Now, with this product, you want to remove your stencil fairly quickly. There we go. Now, right now, it shows up white. It almost looks like, butter, maybe like a thin coat of butter. It needs some time to dry. It's just the nature of the product. So you're going to want to make sure that if you're going to do this, you need to do it ahead of time or make time to do this, because this product does take time to dry before you can use it. So I've actually done that, and I actually have one that's all ready to go for you guys. So let's set this aside. Needs about an hour or so is what I found. So yeah, not too bad. I'm going to set this aside. I'm just going to go throw this in my sink. So I'll be right back, 2 seconds. All right, sorry about that. If you don't actually go and do that, put your stencil in some water or go and wash it off immediately, it's going to stick and you're not going to be able to get it off, and you're not going to be able to use that stencil for the future. So just keep that in mind. Okay. So this is the dry one that I did a couple of days ago, and it's all ready to go. And if you can see, yeah, that gel becomes transparent. So all you really can see is the shine left over. There you go. Let's see if I can get it to catch the light properly. So there's some beanie weenies on there. Okay. So next what we need to do is transfer our foil on it. So there's two sides to the foil. There's a shiny side, and then there's your dull side. Okay. You want to put the shiny side up. Okay. And that's the side that you need to see the shiny so that the product is on the underside and is going to stick to basically this is your adhesive. Okay. So for mine, for some reason, I always tend to run this kind of stuff through my die cutting machine using kind of like a folder of printer paper. I don't like to run it through naked because I don't want anything to stick to my plates. So I'm just going to make a little folder for it to go through my machine. And once again, you can use this with a laminator, so with heat or without. So I'm just going to bring in my trusty old Big Shot here and make sure that all of my piece of paper there is making contact with my plate. And I'm just going to run this through a couple of times just to make sure that I get good pressure. Now, if you don't get good pressure, you may have to add a shim. But I found my plates are pretty good for thickness. And I also have my thin metal shim underneath too. So, alright, so let's take a peek here. And open this puppy up. Forgot I have adhesive on the back of this, so it's stuck. All right, are you ready for the reveal? Here we go. works like magic. So basically, that adhesive or that duo gel pulls off that design. I really wish you guys could see this in person because the beans are so cute. And they have this really cool rainbowy iridescent effect to them. So it's really, really easy to use. So the possibilities are endless. And of course you can make your own stencils and do this. So yeah. All right. Now, the other thing too, I wanted to point this out. Don't throw this away. This is like gold. You could make a really cool shaker window out of this. Oh, wouldn't that be cool? So you'd have the iridescent and the void of the bean, and you could put even some coffee beans in a shaker card. Wouldn't that be cool for like giving somebody a Starbucks card or a Tim Hortons card? Yeah. So don't throw this away. Use this up. Find a project to use it. Okay, so we've got our coffee beanie weenies. And we are going to do... Whoop, it's kind of staticky. So we're going to start by building up our card onto a piece of dark brown cardstock here. I'm bumping everything. So I need to cut this down to a size where I've got a mat. So I'm going to pull in my trimmer here. And this dual gel kind of got pressed out on some of those edges. So I want to get rid of as many of those little rough edges as possible. So I'm going to do a mini trim, kind of like super thin. Like, look at that. Like hair thin. I'm getting rid of those edges because I don't want a huge border on my card, but I want to get rid of those kind of uneven edges because we want our card to look pretty, don't we? All right. I love this trimmer. My favorite trimmer of all time. The only thing is that I wish I had a bigger version of it to cut lengthwise in an 8.5 by 11, just so I could cut my card bases. But yeah, oh well. So I want to make sure that we have a white sheet of paper that is identical in size to this piece because we're going to back it. So again, I'm going to have to bring in the trimmer again because we need this to sit in partnership with the white piece of paper. So if I can get it to cooperate, that would be wonderful. So this is just whatever your favorite white cardstock is for card making. It's a lightweight cardstock. I think it's like 65 pound. It's super light. And we're just going to chop it off so it looks identical. Okay. Now we need to trim this little fella because we want a fun little shape. So you can choose whatever angle you want. I'm going to bring in my other trimmer because my tonic one does not do cuts like this one that we're going to need. So, and I'm just going to pick a random angle. This is not science, people. Just pick a random angle. So we could even leave it at that. That might be kind of cool, but I want a point. I want to make a point where I'm just going to kind of focus our sentiment on. So I'm just going to pick a random angle here. Dun, da, da, da. And there we go. We have a nice little point. Now, you can use these pieces too, so don't throw them away. Just find another way to use them on a card. They're not waste by any means. Okay. So there we go. And this is going to be slipped right over top like that. But before we do that, I want to stamper greeting, and then we're going to do a little bit of distressing with Copic markers, and I'm going to show you how to do that with a airbrush system from Copic. Okay, so let's start off here. Hang on one second, I just have to clear my other stamps off of my Misty. Okay, so we're going to put our white sheet in. I'm also going to tack in our other bean sheet here, just so I know position-wise. And we need our stamp. And I love this one. Everything gets better with coffee. So we're just going to position that. That looks good. It's not going to be covered. Beautiful. Okay, I need to make sure it's straight. Hang on. Gotta get my head in there. Because if it's not straight, that would not be good, would it? And that's not straight. Alright. And I have cat hair on it too. Do you guys have these problems? Alright, double checking. Yep, that looks good. Okay. If it's an Allison card, then it has cat hair on it. I don't know about you guys. Memento Rich Cocoa ink. I love this ink. If you don't want to use a black ink, you want to use something a little bit more subtle. Rich Cocoa is a great color. Of course, it is Copic marker safe as well. And my pad really needs to be re-inked. So you're going to have to forgive me. And this is the beauty of the Misty. Voila. A sentiment was born. Beautiful. Okay. Just going to use my Lawn Fawn chamois. Give that a wipe down. Da 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 da. Because we're going to need this Misty in a moment for something else. Okay. Now let's just look at this specific piece of paper. I'm going to put those ones off to the side. And I'm going to fire up my compressor, which is under the desk. And it is attached to this little fella, and this is a Copic Air Grip. This works with sketch markers, which are the oval-barreled markers, okay? And what you do for this is it can be used in two ways. So a Copic marker has two ends, right? It has a nib and a brush end. Well, technically, you can use it with both. And technically, and typically, you would use it with this one. So what you would do, I'll bring in that scrap piece of paper I ripped earlier, and you literally put it in to match the same angle as the distribution of air, and you would use it as an airbrush. This is the beauty of Copic markers. They are multifunctional, okay? Well, I want to show you there's a trick. What if you use the other end? Use the brush end instead. Well, the beauty of this is that it actually gives you a different spatter pattern. So for this, it actually gives you a spatter. So it gives you these fine misted dots. And that's exactly the effect that I want to use on the back of our cards. So just so I don't have to wipe down my desk here. And we only really need to add splatter to the bottom, right? Because the coffee bean covers it for the most part. I want to kind of distress this background, so I'm going to, if you hit the button lightly, you only distribute a small amount of ink because you're only allowing a small amount of air to pass through. So you can get a fine, fine mist of ink. Now you have to try each individual marker out because it's really funny, but each marker sprays differently. You're never really going to get a consistency from one to the next. So this happens to be E39. Let's bring in a little bit darker, richer color with an E29. Well, let me show you. This marker will actually distribute ink differently. This one has even bigger blobs of color that come out. So again, I'm going to rotate this just for a different spray angle, spatter angle. So you have to test out each and every marker that you want to use, because some of the darker pigmented markers, especially reds, dark blues, dark browns, the ink is thicker, so you get bigger blobs. So always test out your marker before you take it to your project, because each one distributes ink so differently. But in the end, you know how craft paper has kind of like a fleck to it sometimes? Well, that's kind of what I want to do with the white, and that's what the airbrush system does, and distributes that ink in a splatter. So it's just another fun way to use your tools, right? Especially if you're a Copic lover like I am. I love my Copics. All right. And then again, I can just turn off my compressor underneath, and you're not going to hear that. And so let's take a moment, and I'm just going to use my favorite adhesive here, and we're going to adhere our little coffee bean patterned paper to the top of our card. It just puts us one step closer to a finished project. Just got to line up all of those edges, give it a good press down, and I'm even going to add it to our chocolatey brown cardstock. Now, I always use a white card base, like 99.9% of the time when I make my cards. It's just so much easier to have a white base to write your sentiment or whatever the inside of your card is going to be. So that's why I just have a single panel of our deep, dark, chocolate colored cardstock. Okay, so there we go. Now, I'm going to take some blocks and do the little coffee bean. So there's just 3 little individual beans that are on this stamp set. I mean, this stamp set is huge as far as stamping is concerned. All right, we're going back to our good old Memento. So I'm hoping this is going to cooperate and be juicy enough. And we're going to use all 3 of those little tiny images today. All right. Okay. Let's set that off to the side. On to our next step is I have a piece of our white cardstock. Whenever I do fussy cutting, I tend to use a heavier cardstock just so that my images are on a little bit thicker paper. Just makes it easier to both cut them out, they stay stiffer, and also to adhere them onto your paper, especially if you're going to put foam underneath them. That stiffer paper is just going to help. Pretty good. Okay. And there we go. 2 little cute little fellas. I'll see if I can move you guys in so that you can see a little bit better here. We're going to use a lot of E markers today. We're going to start with a base of E31. So, and I will list all of the products that are used today on the information below. Once I'm done here, I have them all linked and ready to go for you guys. So, yeah. So we're going to keep our little fella here. On my original card, this guy kind of has like, he has cow spots. I thought that was cute. I think we'll do the same with this. Maybe we'll switch it up. We'll do cow dotties on this guy. We'll do this guy kind of brown. So I always start with my light markers. Everybody is different as to how you color with Copics. I just always seem to get a better blend when I start with my lightest and go to my darkest. But to each his own. If you start with all of your shadows then absolutely do that. Do whatever you're used to and that you're comfortable with. Okay, our next, actually I'm going to go to our dark tone here. We're going to go all the way to our E37 and add just a little bit of our shadow color, and I'm just going to use this very, very sparingly. Just a few areas where I want a little bit of a darker shadow for him. And again, we will go to our second darkest color and use it to kind of blend it out. So this is an E35. That last color was an E37. I don't know if I showed it on screen, sorry. And I'm just going to blend out that nice dark rich color here. Like I said, I really wanted this to be a really simple and easy coloring. So we're going to go a mid-tone, E33. So I'm just going to kind of flick out the color. We're going to blend everything out. Add a little bit more color. We'll bring it down his face a little bit more onto his chest and his belly, his cute little belly. Now I'm going to go all the way back to my lightest color, back to the E31, and I'm just going to go and blend out all those edges. I'm even going to go over his ear again. And I haven't done his hands because I want to make them pink. And I'm just blending out any lines that I don't particularly like. There we go. So just know that if you go over a really dark color with, like a dark color indicated by the number on the Copic with like a 7, like a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, if you go over it with a 0, 1, a 2, sometimes even a 3 or 4, these colors have more blending solution, which means that they push ink, and they push ink really well. So they can go in and push back a lot of the color. So you may have to go back in again and color over specific areas. Okay? So just keep an eye on that. All right, so we're going to make this guy our little spotty dotty fella. And the beauty of stamps are that you can make your critters any color, any shade, any configuration that you want. That's the fun about having an image. You make it you. So if you happen to have mice at home and your little mice are gray and he has a little black tail, then make him gray with a little black tail. That is the beauty of making your own cards, and it's so fun to customize it for people that you love. So if I was sending this to somebody who had a dog, I might make it look like their dog, right? Wouldn't that be cute? It makes a cute gift. Okay, let's color in his tail. This is all E31. We're not going to go very dark. I'm just going to go one more step with an E33 just for a tiny bit of shadow, and that's it for this guy. Oops, I went outside the lines. Oh well, no big deal. There we go. Just get his leggies. I'm going to go back to my lightest color, my E31 again, and just soften and blend that out. And you know what? Don't be intimidated by anybody who uses Copics, because if you're a first timer, we've all been there. We've all been there. You have to learn and you have to start from somewhere. I've been coloring with Copics for close to 15 years now, and I still learn. So don't ever let anybody talk you out of doing things that you love. just do them because you love them. Okay, let's add some pink to our little BBs here. This is an R000. We're going to do his hands, his little nose, and his feet. So cute. Same with this little guy. I can't see his feet. Alright, let's go and do our cup here. Now, again, like the thing about having your own images, you can make them your own. So, on my original card, I had stripes. So we're just going to put a base coat. Sorry, I have a tendency to hold on to my caps in my hand because it's just the way I color. This is an R32. And let's see, what are we going to do? Oh, I will do stripes again. So you get to customize your card. You could put stars. You could draw little rosettes. It's your card. You get to make it whatever you want. And let's put a ring of color around the edge of our saucer here. And if you want to kind of pre-design anything, you could always doodle it in pencil first, and then having that kind of as your guidelines, right? Okay, this is R14. We're just going to add just a tiny bit of shadows. Just put a little bit underneath because there would be shadow there, and just a tiny bit to make that little tea mug look round. And we're going to use that same color, go back to our R32 and add it, and just basically smoothing out those transitions. So again, R32, just blending it out. Again, this is really easy coloring. You could go for as many colors as you want. But I just want to keep it really simple, easy, and doable for all. Okay, there we go. Ba-ba-da-da. Aren't they cute? They are adorable. Alright. There are coordinating dies for this stamp set. I do not happen to have them. So today, sorry guys, I have to fussy cut. It's just the way it goes. I want to know, do you guys like to fussy cut? Or are you, yep, gotta have the die. Gotta have the die? Nope, I don't fussy cut at all. So this is just Barely Arts Precision Craft Glue. So I'm just going to stamp a little something on the inside of my card. And we still have to color those little beans too on the outside. So I'm just going to slip this into my Mini Misty, and I'm going to grab a lighter ink. I'm going to grab a Memento Desert Stand, which is kind of a light, kind of toffee colored. Oop. And we're just going to do a subtle image, and this image is this cute little mouse, and he is juggling the coffee beans. Just so stinking adorable. So there. So there we go. Two fun little cards. I think this would be a great card to give somebody who you were going to give a coffee gift card to. So yeah. So again, thanks so much for joining me. All of the products will be listed in the description below. All right, thanks again, guys. I hope you enjoyed my live today, and I hope you have a crafty new year.